Hello and good evening and welcome back to Unveiled Evening. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Reverend Faith and I'm so excited to have you back this week as we start another episode of our talk show. Tonight I have with me my wonderful co-hosts Sandra, Godley and Mercyb.
Hello.
Hello, ladies. Hello. And thank you so much for joining me. Today we have another exciting topic and I'm really gearing up to go into it tonight. We are talking about why do women stay? And that is not just about married women. We're talking about single women as well. Why do single women stay in difficult situations and not come out of it? So the first question I would ask is, why do women want to get married in the first place? Are we all chasing the fairy tale?
When I was a little girl, when I was 8 and 9, I was chasing the fairy tale. One day my prince will come and take me in a horse, and we'll ride off into the sunset, into the city centre.
Into the city centre, she says. Yeah. Okay. That reminds me about the song of the Fast Car song.
Oh yeah. But which girl doesn't dream of being in a beautiful dress and her prince comes along and tells her how wonderful she is and she wants to spend her life with him, loving him. So yeah, I was brought up with that. I think I'm one of millions of little girls. And then the reality kind of hits. You can get your prince, but there's probably a little bit more work to do.
Yes. So Mercyb, why do we think women want to get married?
I think one of the reasons would be peer pressure.
Okay.
The expectation that is put upon you. You know, when you're growing up, it's like when you get to a certain age, especially in my culture, your mother will be asking you, okay, my dear, when are we going to see your husband? So when are we going to have that big day? When are we going to have this wedding day? So the peer pressure that, oh my God, I'm getting old. I need to get married. My mother wants us to have a shebi, our traditional wear, a big party. And it's like, they want to be a grandma. I'm doing the same thing for my daughter. So
already, you're putting pressure on them already. Oh my God.
I know.
So everybody wants to get married and wear the white dress. But what happens after the white dress? Because we don't all run into the sunset with the white horse and that beautiful what they call it, that beautiful rescue guy that comes along.
Yeah,
the prince.
I know.
No.
As beautiful as it is that it's good to get married. You want to get married. Peer pressure, friend expectation. You're seeing all your friends getting married. Everything just look good. And people just believe that once you're married, all your problems are gone, which is not the truth. It's not the exact truth. And most people, because of this fantasy, Sandra was talking about when we were growing up. Of course, I used to dream, oh my God, my ideal man. I want to wear, especially oh my God, beautiful wedding dress. You have everybody, your groom, maybe on the white horse, all that kind of dream. But the reality is this, it's fairy tales. And I remember when I was growing up, I used to think that, I don't know if you know this Mill and Booms. You know that novel?
Mm-hmm.
That when you read it, they always talk about how beautiful it is to get married. And everything is always happily ever after. Those one that it's like marriage is just so beautiful. Nothing can go wrong. So if many people have that kind of mindset, that is what marriage is about, until when you enter into it, that's when you realize that, hang on here, I didn't see this. I didn't know I would have to do this. I didn't know this is what I have to do. I thought once I'm married, everything is honeymoon. We just have to love each other. We don't nag. We don't fight. Everything is hunky-donkey. Hello, that is fairy tales.
I like the fact that she says there's no nagging, no arguing, no fighting, because everybody thinks that we're all gonna eat at the big table every day and everything's gonna be nice and we'll be dancing.
Oh yes, dancing every day, breakfast in bed.
But isn't it because what I think one of the reasons why we think that way as well is because of of Hollywood. Hasn't Hollywood sold us the dream, though?
Yeah,
That's
it's
it.
a dream all the time. Even Christmas movies came out about 5 weeks ago. All telling us a perfect Christmas, a perfect romance, a perfect meal, perfect jumpers, all that. But just thinking about getting married, I think one of the things that hits you really quickly, particularly when I got married, that's 20 odd years ago, is that I had to work. So the idea of staying at home and standing and cooking in the kitchen and being well dressed when husband came back home, hello darling, mwah, mwah, mwah. Hello children, mwah, mwah. Not a thing. It goes like that. I had to go out to work because we were fending for ourselves. So perhaps arriving later home than my husband, and life just took a different pace. So the reality is, it ain't always a fairy tale. There are romantic moments, of course there are, but it is hard work. And now you're with this person 24 hours a day. You were dating them, so you only met them perhaps 2 or 3 times a week, and it was all perfect all the time. You were at a meal,
that's it.
Amazing. You just look hot. But the reality is, you're stuck with this person all every day. Now you've seen him in the bathroom.
What happened?
And the reality is,
yes,
where's the romance?
There's the romance gone. So, well, when we're talking about romance and the romance fading, I mean, we are told that 42% of marriages in the UK end in divorce. And we are also told that divorce, even though divorce has been on increase before, since 2017, there is some kind of hope because the rate in the UK has been coming down. Now, it looks like social pressure to marry has come down as well for men and for women because of the way society has changed. And for some reason, because men don't feel like they are pressured to get married anymore, they're actually staying married. Isn't that surprising?
Okay.
So
okay.
society is not saying you have to have a wife, you have to get married. Now they just feel like if I find the right one, I stay married. The game has changed. But we have to recognize that even in this COVID-19, a lot of marriages are struggling, and we hear a lot of the domestic violence and people getting separated because they just can't stand, as Sandra was saying, seeing each other every morning in the bathroom and looking at each other 24/7. When they never used to do that because they were going at home, going to work. And I imagine that it must be so difficult because before there was the excuse of going to work, so you could leave in the morning and knowing that you're not going to see your partner till the evening. So you still had that time to be yourself. But now with COVID-19, everybody's stuck at home. What do you do?
It's true.
Yeah.
It's having serious effect on marriages. And that kind of shows that most time you don't really know your spouse. Most people, like we're talking about singles, that before you say I do, what do you know about your spouse? COVID-19 exposed a whole lot of things because now, like you're saying, you're beginning to see things that you don't see before. Most people, they use their house like bed and breakfast. They wake up in the morning, having breakfast.
Bed and breakfast.
Come back home and sleep.
Yes.
But now it's a full-time house. It's not more bed and breakfast. You wake up in the morning to the same face, and during the day to the same face. Children running around the house all day long, and the husband is there trying to work. The wife too. I remember when I was finishing my course, because that is when it happened, the COVID-19. They will have to be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Most of my classmates, I have to hide in the toilet to do this. I have to be in this side of the house because it's so noisy. I can't think. My head is going crazy because it's like, this is not what we are used to. That's why I'm always saying that before you say I do, I say it to my client because I have a program that I do. I call it before you say I do. So I have like almost about 6 weeks program. So get yourself ready, because if you don't know, you don't want the surprise of having to find out some of the things that now COVID-19, before, like I said, bed and breakfast, but with COVID-19 now, it shows everything. You are open, you are exposed, you can't hide.
But I love your expression of COVID. I like your expression of bed and breakfast, because really that's what we used to do.
Yes.
You wake up, you have your breakfast, you go to work, and you come back and you just come to sleep. So even if you have issues in your marriage, you don't take time to speak about them because you're busy, you're tired, you have the kids to do, you have to look after, especially if you're a woman, you're working, you have to come back home, look after the children, to make the dinner. And whenever there is an issue, you'd brush it under the carpet because tomorrow you've got to get to work.
That's it.
It's so true. And now every gap is filled with seeing the same person. You wonder about all the things that you'd normally do when you're on your own in the house, like watch a bit of television, loose swimming or whatever it is. Now you're thinking, he's going to know that that's what I'm doing. You start the tea, the dinner a bit later or earlier, and you're just realizing everything that you're doing is exposed. And you haven't got the run of the house, you haven't got the run of your own time. So they are potential hazard points, as you can imagine, just those moments you're rubbing up against each other and you're just watching the real person. You think, I never knew you did that. I never knew that you actually had coffee with your friends Tuesday for 2 hours. So if you're doing that, why is the house not clean? So there's all this kind of stuff, and it's there underneath the surface, waiting and bubbling to come up to the surface. It's a hard one, and lockdown has been a long time. And watching your mate, your friend, could actually reveal things that you don't like about each other, which you never thought about. How are you going to handle that? And how are you going to sit down with that partner and say, you know what, honey, I just didn't appreciate how much work you're doing. I didn't appreciate how little work you're doing.
Because before COVID-19, I never knew that you'd leave your socks on the floor and that you don't actually do any washing up. But because I was at work, I just came home to do the washing up. But now that you're here, you still don't do the washing up.
Exactly. Well, I've got to do it all, and then argument breaks out. It's a tense time. And I think I've read somewhere that there are a lot of relationship breakdowns that have happened during lockdown because it's so intense. And it's not, I don't think it's normal that husbands and wives, unless they're working together, are with each other 24 hours of the day. It's bound to be a disaster or a potential disaster.
So what would you advise then, girls that are still on the sideline, dreaming of this fairy tale, wanting to be married, and yet not being prepared for the next lockdown?
You know one thing I can never forget. When I was getting married, my mother said to me, he said, daughter, you're entering an institution that you're never graduated from. And for me,
I need to say that one again.
My mother said, daughter, you are entering an institution that you're never going to be graduated from.
Wow.
And I'm thinking,
well, if you are watching this and you're online with us on Facebook or YouTube, you need to type this in the comments. You will never graduate from the institution.
There's no graduation there.
There's no graduation. There's no graduation. Okay.
You know your spouse. When she told me, I didn't realize. I didn't fully understood. I'm thinking, what are you talking about? And when you think about it, marriage is the only institution that they will give you a certificate before you start your journey. Did you see it?
I love that. They give you a certificate before you graduate. Wow.
Yeah. You say, okay, this is your marriage certificate. Now you are go on your journey. And you don't have a clue. How am I gonna every institution you will finish your course before they give you the certificate?
Yes.
But for marriage, they say, okay, and you wear your wedding dress, you wear your suit, you look good, you take picture, you're on Instagram, you've
got your graduation outfit on. Yes.
I've got it, my ring, put it on it, and then you close the door, you're like, I'm going here. Who is this man? The first night you can hear him snoring. You're like, who is this? It's not.
Yeah.
That's your life. You've already got a certificate for it. So that's why I'm always saying that prepare before you enter into it, because it's an institution. Why can you go to somewhere that you don't have a clue what happens there? And they give you a certificate that starts your journey, and you don't know what it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Me
it's so
too.
true. It's so true. But what do we say then? What do we say? Because this is not just a Christian program, but what do we say to all these girls that are sitting in church waiting for, Prince Charming to turn up and to take them away and build that beautiful castle with them, and they have no clue. They haven't even done the course yet.
That's it. That's why it's good. Most churches, for instance, now, like for the past 3 weeks now in my church, they put a program before you leave home, things to put in place. So I was on that program with my husband, and they have few couples, just to give, the young one what to expect before you say, I do. It's good for churches to put things like that together. And it's also good for you as individual to have a professional counseling. Outside your church, seek professional help, because as a professional, they will tell you as the way it is, what to expect. Preparation. Like I said, what I do before you say I do is 6 weeks. This is what I say to my clients. Okay, you're going on a date. Let's say you're dating, you're on a date. What do you guys talk about? Because it's not about you having tea, having coffee, because these days we are going for a tea, we are going for afternoon walk and all the rest. What do you guys talk about? Because that is the time that you get to know, are you right for me? Is he or she right for me? Because that's when you find out. So tell me about your family. Tell me about this. What are you like for women? Are you workaholic, or you're a shopaholic? Are you in debt? Have you ever been bankrupt? All kind of things that you need to find out before you sign yourself into it. Talk. Ask any silly question. Because that is when you're asking questions, you're hitting, you're still having fun. It's helping you to know, are you right for me? Are we compatible? Do you know I have clients that they do not know that the partner doesn't want children until when they actually got married?
So they never ask the question.
They never ask the question. Why will you not talk about children while you're dating before you actually go to the extent of getting a ring? You don't know that she doesn't like children. Now we have to sort you out. That way, you never asked me. I don't want to lose my figure. I don't want no children. So what are you going to do?
Wow. So Sandra, you have teenagers. What do you tell them before they get married? Or you have young adult, I would say.
Yeah, our son Elliot is married, been married just over a year, and our daughter is not married, she's at uni. Still hopefully not married. Hope she hasn't gone on and done something we don't know about. But we try to prepare our son and his wife to be as much as we could. And I think Mercy is right. A lot of it you have to learn on the way. You've got to leave life to just teach you things. That's going to happen. But how you support each other, what your value systems are, is the stuff that you learn while you're dating, while you're courting, if that's the word you want to use. And hopefully, over a period of time, you'll work out, do you know what, this he's gorgeous. I just want to melt at his feet, but he can't cook. Well, you're going to have to deal with that. And we might laugh about it, but after a while, the fact that he can't cook
is a problem.
Become a massive, massive problem. Yeah. Because for you, it's a value that he's able to. I'm not saying he needs to be a top chef, but at least he's prepared to care for you and show that his love language to you is that he's prepared to make a meal. And it's what your love language looks like during those dating days. He might be absolutely gorgeous, but if he doesn't care about possibly mowing the lawn, and I'm talking about real practical things, because these are things that jump up and become a real source of. If he's not prepared to care about the house that you live in, that eventually, along the line, years later, could be a real problem, because you want the love language that says, I want to adore you. I want to fill your life with as much as I can give you, as well as me giving myself to you physically. I want to make your life, my wife, as easy as possible. I want to show you. And how do I need to do that? And that's where you sort that out and say, well, you know what? I really value somebody that loves cooking or wants to do that. I really love somebody who's creative around the house. And if he says, you know what, I want to do the ironing for you, I might not be brilliant for it. And these things break down some of the barriers. And like Mercy was saying, if you find out 2 years into your marriage that he never wanted children, what were you talking about for 2 years? What were you talking about that you never talked about children, the concept of other little people in your life? How will you plan for the lives of your little children? Because, you know, if you're a parent, it's all about being selfish. You might as well forget about what you want. But because it's what you want to do, it's your gift to your children. You value money. Are you happy to not have a joint account with him? Or does he have a single account? Why? What are you hiding? So all this kind of stuff he's talking about, once the romance stuff is kind of settled, that's just the basis, the physical attraction. But how you build, who you build with, is really important. And can I build with you? That's the question. After you fall in love with him and the sex and all that stuff that you're thinking about for your marriage, the question should be, can I build with you? Are you the guy that's going to be compatible with me?
And I think the question is quite important, because we find that a lot of women who are married are hiding behind closed doors, in pain, struggling, depressed, putting on excessive amount of weight to calm the anxiety, the depression and everything, and ending up with, you know, those kind of diabetes and high blood pressure, because they are not able to express their unhappiness. And my question is, why do they stay? Why do they stay married if it's so painful? And like you said, if after 5 years you've been with someone who tells you he doesn't want to have children, and because you're married you feel that you have to stay, why do you stay if he doesn't want to have children?
I think some people, some women, they probably stay out of shame, number one. I don't want people to know that I can't stay in a marriage. What do I say? Or it might be like, you know, because the pressure and what people will say about me, that is another thing. And then another one is that it can make them feel like I fail. Do you get what I mean? I have clients that they're in the relationship, they can't go. And they know that they're already, if they're no more even in love, they're out of love because of everything that is happening in the relationship. But some of them, because of children, they're like, I don't want to let my children down. I don't want to portray to them that, oh, I'm not a good mother. I'm giving them, I don't want them to have this broken home experience. But do you know that many times there's one client that is really heartbroken. For somebody to stay in a marriage for almost about 50 years, thinking that it will work, and eventually she got out after 50 years. Wow. This is deep. Because one thing is that it gets to a stage that you lose your self-esteem. You're thinking nobody will ever find you attractive. You can never have anybody else's. And you were thinking your word is only the best. Because remember, you are in this small world, and you believe that is all to it. Because you keep hearing from your spouse, you're not good enough. You can never amount to anything. I'm the only one that can love you. I'm this one. I'm that one. So when you keep hearing things like that, it stays in your mind. And you carry yourself like that. And you'll be telling yourself that I'm doing this for my children. Especially sometimes in our culture, you're not doing it for your children. Because what happened is that you're doing the same thing. You're thinking your children, they rather have you miserable rather than seeing you happy. You think you're hiding it. But you're not hiding it.
You're not hiding it. They see everything. They see everything.
It's sad. Because it's what I have to deal with. It's really sad. Because when you say that, how somebody can waste so many years.
But isn't it also because of the Christian culture that says that you're married, once you're married, you can't divorce, and therefore you should stay? Divorce.
That's another one.
It's a difficult one. So many of my friends have chosen to divorce, and the mental strain, the awful emotional entanglement, you know, it's meant for them that they've needed to choose to live alone or to walk away. And I can't, I've learned over the years not to be judgmental. If I'm, you know, unless you're in that situation and you understand abuse, physical and mental abuse, I'm not sure we can make that judgment. Of course, there are obviously the ones, literally broken the marriage down by having an affair, and it's just awful. Those things are quite obvious. You betrayed your partner. Mercy, I worked in housing for a number of years, housing management, looked after council houses and managed them and stuff. And part of my job was to deal with homelessness. And you would always know, at about 10 to 5, housing managers were always quite nervous in the office, because we knew that would be the time that many women would come to the housing office to declare themselves homeless on a Friday. And it was because they knew that actually we'd have to deal with them on a Friday because the weekend. And the majority of them were leaving their partners. The one that really sticks out to me was a woman. She must have been in her 50s, and she just literally had a plastic bag with her with a few things in there, and I had to. It was just like, oh my gosh. And you make a judgment based on what someone looks like, how old they are, and you just kind of think, just don't become emotionally entangled, take the details, find them a refuge, blah, 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 a hotel or a hostel. And this woman was different. And I said, why have you left? You left your family, you left your husband, because my children have just both gone now to university. She said, I wanted to leave him 30 years ago, but I made a pact that as soon as they were secure and were able to go to university, I'd leave them. And here I am now. Please find me a house.
But for me, personally, it's something that I find very difficult. And even as a minister, I find it very difficult to advise people to divorce. Yeah. But I also go in the sense, I also advise against staying when there's no more love, when we're just pretending because we're staying together to show the world that it's actually working. And for me personally, it seems like people are lying and they're putting a front. And when you're putting a front, you're not lying to God, because God sees that you're lying. God sees that your marriage is not true. God sees that you are not truthful in your feelings towards your partner, and maybe you're harboring bitterness and resentment as well. So how do you then reconcile that before him and said, well, because of the covenant, I'm going to stay and be miserable and make my kids go through this as well, and hear the arguments and the fights and be traumatized for life, and live with unconscious trauma in their mind because you stayed when you could have left. For me, that doesn't add up. I think
it doesn't add up. It doesn't.
If you're staying in a marriage because you're a Christian and you want to fight for it, you need to fight for it fairly, in the sense that you're going to make everything that you need to do. You're going to make sure the love is there. You're going to make sure that you have no bitterness, no anger. You're going to try and not argue with each other and fight. You're really going to try and make it something that glorifies God. And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But don't put up a front. For me, the putting up a front is just not working for me.
When it's not working, it's not working. To be honest, it's the really, I have so many sad cases. And because obviously, I can't tell them what to do. It's not my job to say to somebody, leave your husband or do this or don't do that. You still have to do. My job is to help you to make the right decision. And sometimes it hurts you. You're looking at, you're thinking, seriously, can you not see it? Because it's so painful. Because when somebody is making a decision, thinking that what you're doing the right thing, like you said, I'm a Christian, I don't want a divorce. It's true. But the question is that which one? Because some of them will handle probably having an affair, even in the midst of it. Because they're seeking for happiness. And they're looking in the wrong places for it. And like you said, they want this look to say we are still good. We are, I'm married. But that is what you see. Behind the closed door is horror. There was a case that the woman have to leave the marriage when he get to the stage that the son, one day, the son watched the way the father beating the mother, and he went to the kitchen, pick up the knife and said, touch my mom and I'll kill you.
You see.
So when that happens, The woman said, nah, if I don't make a decision now, two things will happen. My son will commit murder. He will go to prison. My husband will be dead. And I will be a widow. So I have to save 2 lives. So I'm leaving. That was it for her.
Yeah.
You know, I think the pain and the struggle, the pain, for me, it hurts me very, very bad when I see a life wasted with so much potential. And
Yes.
we're staying because of culture, because of the church, because we're going to be looked upon. But it's your life that you're putting on the line, and your kids' life that you're really putting in danger, isn't it? Sandra, you were going to say something.
It is, and so much of this is down to learned behaviour. I haven't got any stats on this, but I would think if you've learned and watched your mum and dad, your parents, your carers demonstrate a loving relationship, not perfect, a loving relationship, it's more likely that you will copy that because it has become part of your DNA. You've seen good examples. You know how to make decisions. You've seen how your father has gone through a decision process to decide whether to buy a house, to choose all sorts of things and decisions in life. So I think if you see it, then it's more easier to replicate it. It's when you are born into dysfunctionality. And how on earth are you going to learn how to treat women well when you haven't seen it demonstrated at all, when you've never seen your father hug your mother, or when you've never seen your mom create the best meal for this man and love him? You've never seen kids.
You never seen them kiss or hug. Yes, absolutely.
Exactly.
You've never seen a church leader hold his wife's hand. You know, what is going on? So, you know, the more we see it, the more it becomes the norm. It becomes our normal.
That's it.
We replicate that. We're humans, and that's what we do. You can only lead people to where you've been yourself. And so I think, what are we demonstrating? What are leaders demonstrating? Oh, that I'm a fantastic leader with a big church and thousands of people in. No, and you can't even hold the hand of your wife. You can't kiss her in public.
Oh, we never see you. No, we never see you together, and we never see you together, and you're never there for them. That's another thing as well. And if we touch on that subject, you know, there's enough leaders out there who are not looking after their wives and who are standing on the pulpit every day, and the woman is crying her eyes out every day because he's not available to fill her needs.
There's loads of that. I call them keeping up appearance. Mrs. Bouquet. I don't know if you ever watched that comedy.
Mercy has all the titles. I think we should let you title this show or something.
Because it's like you're keeping it up, and they're dying inside because they can't say
dying.
Listen, because there's so many things that I can't say it, but when I hear what people say, that's why I love what I do, because I can see that I'm helping, and you know, many people, they will leave and say, oh my God, I'm really grateful that I can say all these things out. Because you know, another thing is like you're keeping it up. You can't tell anybody what is going on with you.
No, because you don't want the church to know.
Your husband is a pastor.
Yes, of course.
How will you go and be talking to somebody about your husband that is not romantic, that haven't touched you for years?
Yes.
And you're sleeping on the same bed.
Yes.
How do you say that to people? How do you say that, oh, you know, we haven't been, I don't know, some of the stuff that you will never believe in what people come up with. And then they give you this front that, oh, we're the best. Oh, we've been married for so many years, but nothing to show for it. And like you would say earlier on, God sees. Because people are looking at you and they're basing the marriage on you. And you know that you are killing your wife, you're killing your husband slowly. And to be honest with you, it's not one-sided. Some women as well, they are horrible. And I mean horrible. The way they treat the husband at home. And then when
give me some examples, because we always look at we always say that the man is the one that's causing the problem, but there are women who are horrible. Give us some examples of what happens in those houses, because people don't really hear about it. Some men are beaten as well.
Oh, yes, they're women that they're making the husband life miserable, beating their husband up. So how do you explain that? The man cannot even say nothing because it's a shame. How can you say to people that your wife is beating you up? So you have to keep it up. You have to, just carry yourself like a good soldier and endure the pain. Until when you can speak to a professional, somebody that will not judge you. How can you tell your friend? Some of this stuff, you can't say it to your friend because one day they will point finger. They will talk about your secrets. So they will keep it and just keep it up. And they're dying inside.
They're dying
crying every day. And they cannot get out of the marriage because they can't get divorced.
Keeping up appearances.
I once interviewed a guy who's a TEDx speaker, and he was saying he was abused by his wife for years. And this was a really interesting interview because I was thinking, what angle do I go in? But he was just raw with it. He said, she just mentally abused me every day, pulling me down. Nothing I did was right. Nothing that I did around the house was right. She criticized every bit of repair work he did at home. If he cooked, it was awful. And so basically over the years, her language to him was so manipulative and just treading on him that he just became trapped mentally. And he had to leave her in the end because he couldn't cope with it. And then when this sort of physical abuse comes, which is like literally hitting and thumping and whatever, that kind of thing, he didn't want to respond to her the way he could do because he felt he wants to honour his wife. So it is right that men can get beaten, hit, all sorts, and because of their honour, they won't respond. But that is another circular, and it is quite prevalent in our society, more than we would imagine.
More than we like to talk about.
Yeah. Once they've walked through that door from a hard day's work, they've got this woman that's nagging them, criticising them. It's not what men love to feel like they're empowered by their women's words. And so when you say to a man, I really appreciate it. When the way you make milkshake is just the best. When you go to make egg, and he believes that there's an empowerment, or what he says, or something that he's done that makes him stand out. They love to be honoured publicly as well. You talk about them positively, and they hear that. It's those kind of things that make men feel that they've got a fighting spirit, they've got in society, and that they've got your heart as their woman. They don't have to demonstrate it publicly, but you do men very good if you empower them with incredible positive words, and that's what we need more and more.
I was thinking about the fact that keeping up appearances is killing us, but people are saying that our parents used to stay married for years.
Yeah.
But wasn't that keeping up appearances too?
But do you know that is where it started from? Because the mothers, our mothers, they will stay in the marriage that is killing them. And they will be telling you that, don't worry, I'm doing this for you. This is the way things work. This is how life works. We are teachers to our children. We are supposed to teach them. They look at our life and they do. Sometimes you will say to your child, don't do what I do what I say. It's a lie. They will do what you do. It's not what you say. Because you can't keep telling me. I'll give you an example. You say, don't lie. You say to your child, don't lie. Lying is not good. Your phone rang. And you tell your child, tell her I'm not at home. What did you just do? You lie.
Right.
But you've been saying to your child, don't lie. But you just told your child to lie on the phone for you. It's the same concept. If you keep saying that, it's not good. Don't be violent towards your wife. Don't do this. It's not good. Treat your wife right. And your child, your son can see how daddy is treating you and how you're taking it. And now you're saying that it's okay. I'm just taking it in. Your son is watching
and learning from you.
So when you grow up, for him, it should be okay. My mother endured. You're my wife. You should be able to take the same thing because it should be nice. Daddy will come home, smack mommy, hit mommy, talk about rude to her, and in front of everybody, put her down openly. Her mommy will still go to the kitchen and cook for daddy. So it can't be bad.
So why is it that you are not doing it in my house? This is how it should be because my mom did it.
Yes, it should be okay. And then young women as well, they will believe that that is what the husband should do. They will take it because they saw their mother taking everything and saying, don't worry, my daughter, everything will be okay. Just take it. That's how men are. That is how men behave. It will change. It will change. It will change
until you die.
Exactly.
Until you die inside, because most of them have died inside. You speak to them, and they're not the young woman who was married and who was dreaming of Prince Charming wearing that white dress and running into the sunset on that white horse. A lot of them are just sitting there, but it's so true. A lot of them are sitting there miserable. And when you look at them 30, 40 years from when they got married, they've got 20, 30 kilograms on top, and you ask them, what's going on? Why are you so overweight? What's going on? And most of it is depression. It's trying to push feelings down. It's mental state that is not working. So they're trying to find a way to what they call them, to bring the feelings down, when actually what they're trying to hide is showing on the outside. You're not healthy because your mind is not healthy. Your mind is not healthy.
And social network too is not helping, because on social network, there's everyone marriages look like perfect, match made in heaven.
Yeah,
they put it. I've seen it all.
Yeah.
I've seen it, I know that they are in pain, and they put it online that, oh my God, he just bought me breakfast. Oh my God, it's the best wedding. And your marriage, you know what? There was a woman there's my client that I used to have. She felt so bad with the amount of things that she can see on internet. She actually believed that our wedding is the worst wedding. What she was wearing is not worth showing people. Our wedding is not good enough for people to see, because you can see how people get married these days, how they dress up and everything, Nollywood, Hollywood style, Bella, and everything. And she felt really, she was depressed, because she felt that maybe they should do the wedding again, because our wedding is not up to standard.
Wow.
And this one has got the best husband ever, looking after her. But all she can see is social network.
But we're looking about it, and then you have these young, because of social media, you have these young girls chasing older men and not men of their generation, because they want to look and wear everything that everybody else has on social media.
Thank you.
Breaking other people's marriages, and also getting involved in all sorts of things because they're trying to catch up with the Joneses. And then you have the young men chasing the older women, and I think that's what Sandra was touching on, because I experienced that. Men marrying their mothers. How many times I have been stopped in London, and I know I look young for my age, and I won't say how old I am, but I'm an old woman.
Don't worry.
And how many times do I get hit by these young men telling me it doesn't matter how old you are, I will look after you. What's the problem now, Auntie? Nah, Mommy, I will look after you. What do you mean you look after me? You are my son now.
The thing is, I don't know.
Lots of them.
This is a big one. It's a big one, because I guess technically age shouldn't make a massive difference, but there is a feeling around.
Now, age doesn't make a difference, but when you are like 20 years younger than me, there's a problem. Now, you need to be chasing your friends, 5 years, 10 years, I'll say, it would work. 20 years?
20?
I don't know, but listen, the point I was trying to think about was actually men who marry women that are like their mothers. So they've carved out an image of this mother rather than a lover.
My wife should do everything my mom did.
My mum cleans and does everything for me and is emotionally attached to me as a mother, rather than a partner, an exciting, fantastic, sexy, on top of the game type woman, rather than someone who's there as the carer. Now, of course, as a woman, a wife, you want to care for you, and you will care for your husband, but not like a mother. You're not stroking them, you're not cuddling them. You know, the more you do that, more and more and more, you know, they won't be able to fly their wings and find their own identity as a married man. So you have to, you know, even the Bible talks about leaving home, leaving home, and you know, setting up a new system.
But men dream of marrying their mother. That is true. They're looking for that wife that would look like their mother. A lot of them tell you that, oh, you know, my mom used to do this, my mom used to do that, my mom used to do that. And it's like, you're not exactly, you're not his mom, but they dream, they you know, just like we girls dream of marrying someone who would treat us like our wonderful daddies, men dream of having their mother.
Oh, of course.
Now, how do you sort that one out? Because you don't cook like mom, and if you don't cook like mom, it's not good enough.
It's not good enough.
You don't look after the house the way that mom does it, so you're not good enough.
No.
You don't stay at home looking after the children because you're going to work, but mom used to stay at home, so you should stay at home.
You can't. Yeah. It's not going to work. It's not going to work, because the whole point is this: I am not your mother. Even the other day, I did something like that post on my page. You don't treat your husband like your son. You know, like you're saying that, oh, you want a woman that will treat you like you are a son. I am your wife. You're the husband. Many times we go about saying, my babe, my babe, my babe. And some of these men, they keep behaving like babies. Because you keep saying baby, baby, baby.
But I don't want to stop you there, but there's also the name, the daddy thing.
Oh gosh.
My daddy. So my daddy. That is another problem as well.
Your daddy, and then you do everything for them. And the hand is like this. They don't do nothing because it's your daddy.
It's your daddy.
If you keep calling your husband your daddy, I always have a question mark. What is your love life like?
Oh God.
You don't speak to your daddy.
Those moments when the mother does interfere in the marriage. And
I'm not saying
the wonderful mother-in-law. Yeah,
that she kind of, you know, why don't you cook earlier for him? Why don't you start tea at 4 o'clock in the afternoon rather than 5? Why don't you do this, cook the meat this way? And you know what's even worse is when the son, the husband, doesn't say anything to say, Mom, just leave it. You know, she's got this. She's on top of all this. So you've got this dynamic there where the mother is trying to own her sons in the marriage and influence the wife, when she just needs to butt out and let them enjoy this new union together.
That's it.
Cover their new rhythm together as man and wife, where she compliments him. She's not competing with him. The other week, she compliments him, and she is the woman that he's going to sleep with, and I'm not his mother, of course. Oh, the thought. You know, she's on a different. Oh, don't go there.
But how about that? And then before we move on to how do we work things out, but you know, we have women competing with their daughters. That's another problem too. Women are competing for their daughter's husband. You know, I was told of a story recently of a woman, so a couple, you know, a young lady was married with her husband, and everything was going well. She brought her mother from Africa to come and live with them because she now had children and she didn't have anybody to look after them. The mom probably looked young and hot as well, and the husband started looking at the mom. And the mom, having been single for a long time, started sleeping with her daughter's husband in the same house. Yeah, it's a true story. In the same house when the daughter went to work. And eventually the daughter learned about it and committed suicide, jumped from the story house and died. And the mother never left the guy. She stayed in the house with the son-in-law and the children.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
that is horrible.
Clearly no boundaries.
I mean, again, when we're going back to our question, why did she stay? She stayed to do what? Because she jumped off the building.
I think I heard the story. It was years ago, right?
Yeah.
That is horrible. How could you do that? Sleep with your own daughters.
But isn't it better to just walk away than just to stay and then not be able to put up with it and jump off the cliff? Why did you stay?
God,
she had a choice to leave. And you can't tell me I'm staying in this marriage because of my children and my mom is sleeping with my husband.
No. That's no in between there. I'm sorry. The man is horrible. That is evil. How could you even look at your son like that?
But it's happening. And it happens every day. And it's not only in our cultures.
I don't know. I don't know. At this world, I don't get it anymore. Just when I think you can't shock me anymore, something else will happen.
Yes.
Because it's like, how?
How do you do it? Yep.
Yeah. That's a tough one.
That one, I don't
know. So just before we come to the end of the show, would you advise women who are struggling, who are in pain right now, and who don't have anybody to talk to because they can't talk to the pastor, who probably will say to them, "You're married, there's nothing I can do," or talk to their best friends? What do they do? Because some of them, and we're going to start with those who want to stay married, what do we advise them? If they really want to stay married and save it because they're Christians, because they love God and they really want to honor their vows, what do we advise them when they're hurting so much and they can't seem to find a solution to working out this marriage and they want to stay?
I always say that help is always available if you want help. Because like you rightfully say, you want to stay in the marriage. You need somebody to work with you. You need somebody to help you. And you need somebody to pray with you. So on this one, this is what I'm always saying, because obviously this show is not long enough. You need to get help. You need to have somebody that you can talk to. And I'm always saying, because now I'm trying to educate our people about seeing therapists because it's good. It's somewhere that you can talk. You can actually, because when you know, sometimes when you talk and you hear yourself, it helps you to make a decision. Because when you're saying something now, you're thinking you're just talking. Most time my job, all I do, I listen. By the time you finish talking and saying everything, you have your own answer. You will know that this is what I needed to do. But sometimes when you don't talk and you keep it inside of you, it's growing inside, and you keep making the wrong decision. Because I mentioned to you earlier on one of my clients that it took 50 years to finally make a decision. 50.
What a waste of years.
That's what I'm saying. Now she wants to reverse back and do everything again. But 50 years is gone.
It's gone.
It's a long time. But if that's what you want, you really need to know, is this what I really want to do? This is what I want. Help is always available.
And it doesn't have to be in your church. It doesn't have to be in your family. It doesn't have to be someone that's close. Because I find that, you know, we always advise it on this show that, you know, seeing a counselor is a good thing. I still go and see a counselor, even though sometimes I don't need it, sometimes I do. But when I don't need it, I still go, because there's always this, you know, things underneath that you've been burying for years that you need to unravel.
That's it.
Yeah.
You need to know. Why do you do what you do? Why are you like that? Why do you want to stay?
Why do you do what you do?
Fear?
Yeah.
Or that's what you really want to do. These are the things that therapy will help you to sort it out, because you will begin to be real. You'll be real with yourself.
Yeah.
Because now you're not talking to your friend or your pastor or somebody that knows you. Yeah. You're talking to somebody, a professional that will tell you as it is. That will say, listen, this is you. Sometimes we don't think about ourselves, because you need to love yourself enough to make a good decision for yourself. For once, what is good for me?
You.
And I mean me. Nobody else is me. That's what therapy will do for you. You'll be confronted with yourself. And then maybe you thought, I want to stay. But by the time you finish, you look at yourself. Who am I staying for? Why? You need to know the reason why you're staying. Because if you have the right reason, it will work out. Your motive is right. If your motive is right, there's no way it will work. But if you're there for a wrong motive, because you just want to please people, you want to do it because that is what you see.
Keeping up appearances.
You doing. People are doing it, and you think it's okay. I can manage. I can do it. And then you're dying inside. How long do you think you're going to do that for? For once, you can't love anybody more than you love yourself. That's what I say all the time. You are number one. You are kind to everybody, but you are very cruel to yourself. You are straight with yourself. What you do to yourself, you put everybody before you. And then at the end of the day, what happened? When you die today, your children, what's going to happen to them? Because you're there because of the children. But they will grow up and get married or decide to leave the house, because at the end of the day, some father, they even abuse the children, not only the mother. Sexually abuse your children. So this is a deep stuff that we can't cover on the show. You can't cover in this show. No. It's really important. What I would leave you with is that you need to know, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I staying? Are you staying for the right reason? Or you're there because that is the only thing you know? Or you're scared of unknown? Many people, they stay because of fear of unknown. Because it's like, if I live here, I don't know. Maybe the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. There are many things that goes on in people's mind. Although self-esteem and fear, it's a lot. It's deep. That can cover on the show. So, but you still need to know why. That is the first question. Sit down and look at yourself and be real with yourself. If you're lying to everybody, do you seriously want to lie to yourself? Come on, be real with yourself. Look yourself in the mirror. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why do I want this? Then by then you begin to see some things and forget about what people are telling you. Forget about what you've read. Forget about what people said to you years ago. Forget about what your mother used to tell you. Forget about when you're growing up. For once, who am I? And why am I doing what I'm doing? It helps. Sandra, what would you advise those who are in marriages, suffering, hurting, depressed, and everything else, and yet they're now ready to go, but they're not sure what to do?
I mean, these mountains that come to us can often be seen as negative times, and there will be a series of things that happened for your marriage to have got to where it is. And often with the people I talk to, it's not just one-sided. So like Mercy was saying, this really is a time to examine yourself and say, how have I contributed to where we are in this marriage? What are the signals that I ignored, didn't understand, misinterpreted, etc.? And you will often find that there are things that you can look at yourself to actually assess where I am in this marriage and what needs to happen before we move forward. Well, love always has to cover everything. It has got to cover everything. Even if there's awful abuse, you can still love that person, but actually not take responsibility to stay being abused. But to keep your own mind in a good place, balanced place, love keeps you going, it keeps you motivated. I kind of think that you need to say to yourself, it's not unusual to see this terrible war, this terrible time. Thousands, millions of people have been there and still are there and will continue to be there. You're not on your own. And so to talk about it is the best thing to do, but it's not necessarily to talk to somebody maybe at church or even at work. Sometimes you just need someone that doesn't know you at all from Adam, knows nothing about your history or whatever, and can look at you completely as an individual. And I'd also say for the people who are listening to these kind of stories, you need help as well, because hearing the harrowing story of someone being abused or someone that's about to be divorced is a lot heavy for you to carry. So there's counselling, therapy and help available for you as well, that you can listen well and help that person not get absorbed with their own trauma, which is what a lot of people are carrying on, other people's trauma. They've been confided in. What do I do now? They've just told me that they're having an affair. I've said I'm not going to say anything, and I want to help the marriage. And it's heavy. This stuff is really heavy. It's not unusual. Make sure you find out about yourself. And I think the journey of finding out about yourself shouldn't be when you're 50 or 60. It should be when you're 8, 9 and 10. That's primary school, where you get solid teaching, encouragement to find out who you are. Wow. You can make your fun, amazing life, and that will help you make good life choices. So they are the main things, I think. Find out about yourself. Don't be embarrassed. If you are someone that's been confided in, you need help as well in recovery. Don't just take it on for yourself. And just keep thinking, is there a way for this to move on? Maybe there's something that's a recurring problem that keeps getting you to this place of hurt with your marriage. And it could be that you just need to look at it from a different angle. That keeps, what is a repeated habit that gets you there? And it could keep doing something that really winds you up. But you started here with a little problem, and it's ended up where you're talking about something that ended 10 years ago, and you keep bringing it back, and he's thinking anything. Yeah, but you've been holding it for all those years, and that repeated action of his has caused you to still be holding on to your hurt, etc. So there's lots, and I think is really, really essential.
Oh, well, thank you so much to my host tonight as we were talking about why women stay, should they divorce, should they stay married, depending on their situation, whether it is abuse or whether it is just, it is emotional abuse, staying in a relationship where you're unhappy and you're dying inside and you're depressed. And we've concluded that the best way is to seek help. Whichever decision you need to make, don't make it on your own. Go and see a specialist, speak to a counselor. I always advise seeing a counselor. I see one myself once a month and I love it. It helps me to balance my mind. And when I feel very low, it helps me to come back up. And I advise everyone to have someone that they can talk to about their daily problem and to someone that they can help them overcome their, struggles. We are all carrying traumas. We're all carrying emotional baggages from our childhood, and those things are affecting our daily life, our daily relationship. And when you don't have anybody to talk to, and even when you do, because I do have best friends I talk to, but there are things that I can only tell my counselor, because she is neutral. She will not give me advice, she will not decide for me, but she will be able to help me get to the right decision. And I think, out of all that we said tonight, find someone neutral who you can talk to help you make the decision whether you should stay or whether you should go, or whether you should leave that relationship. But whatever happens, don't just stay because of other people. You need to do it for yourself and make sure that the decision you make is for you, not for those children who are going to leave and go to university, and not for that family who lives and eat their food every evening, not worrying about whether you have food in your house, and not about all the church members who really don't care, because once they leave the service on Sunday, they're just getting on with their lives. So that's it.
Yay.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're still online, please do remember to share to everyone you know who is going through difficulties in their marriages right now, and who are also going through mental health. There are loads and loads of people going through depression in this lockdown. A lot of people who are going through marriage problems right now. So this message and this broadcast is for them. Don't assume, just share. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week when we're going to do part 2. Why do women stay during abuse and emotional abuse, physical abuse, all kind of abuse. Tune in next week. Until then, thank you to my host, Sandra. Thank you, my host, Mercyb. Next week, we'll have Shermara back with us when we talk about abuse. And yes, we will have details of Mercyb's on our platform. If you need to speak to someone neutral, she will be available for you to call and to discuss your matters. And if you need to decide whether you need counseling long-term with her, she will be a very good expert to help you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, everyone who made any comment on Facebook. And thank you all so much. Lady Oforiwa, we see you. Princess, we see you. Joy, thank you so much for tuning in. And everybody else who's on YouTube, I'm not connected to YouTube. Thank you for sharing, and see you all next week. God bless you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Hold on. yeah. As the morning rises, so are your problems, yeah. And as the day goes by, they multiply. As the morning rises, so are your problems, yeah. And as the day goes by, they multiply. My brother, don't you sit and worry, oh, it comes to pass. My sister, don't you sit and cry, inside the night. Hold on, hold on. I know you aren't strong enough, but hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold on, hold on. I know you aren't strong enough, but hold on, hold on, hold on. Just like thunder in the